I'm Mayor Bill McLeod, and I'm here with Trustee Gary Stanton and Trustee Michael Gaeta. We're doing another episode of the Heart of Hoffman Estates, and we have representatives from the Schaumburg D54 Education Foundation with us today. And they're going to tell us a little bit about the foundation. Kathy?
Hi, my name's Katie Garcia. I'm with the 54's Foundation, and we've been around for 30 years. This is our 30-year anniversary. We are here to help support the kids at the school district, usually focusing more on needy families. This year, our big push, and for future years, is a program called Food for Thought. And it's a really great program. I think Tom would be able to give you a lot more information about that.
Tom, what does the foundation do in addition to Food for Thought? What is the purpose of the foundation?
So the foundation itself was founded back in 1987, so we're celebrating our 30th year this year. We're really a group of volunteers, from the local community coming together to do what we can to provide enhanced experiences for the kids by sponsoring programs and activities. And the most important part is where the district doesn't budget for them, meaning your tax dollars aren't covering the programs that we're trying to enhance. So when tax dollars stop and there's a need that continues, we raise funds for that. Part of that is, we come from a district where 22% of the kids in our district come from families that qualify for the federal free lunch program. So, there's a need. And three of the main programs, one of them being the Food for Lunch or Food for Thought program that we talked about, that's the breakfast program. But we also do grants to families that have a financial need so that these kids can participate in other activities, extracurricular activities, and then we also do sponsor STEM programs, the science, technology, engineering, and math.
Tom, what is really the core foundation of the foundation? What is the core mission of the foundation? And how do you raise your money?
So, great question. There's really three, if we would kind of summarize our mission into those three tasks that we really have taken on as an organization. The main one being the Food for Thought. So, I mentioned earlier that 22% of our children come from homes that qualify for the federal free lunch program. What that means is they come from a family of four that makes less than $32,000 a year. That's hard to fathom for me. You live in this community, as expensive as just life is at all levels to raise a family. And if you think about a lot of those kids, they're coming to school wanting to learn, but also some of them are looking to the lunch as their first meal of the day. So, we have a phenomenal school system and education system around here, but if they don't come ready to learn because they're worried about, when their next meal is, you're not going to get that great education that's being provided to them. So the Food for Thought is our main task. Giving back to the need that's here, putting programs in place so these children can get a snack or something to eat before they start their day, and then they come ready to learn. So right now, we as a foundation have tasked ourselves with all 28 schools. It's about $10,000 a school if you average it out. So that's $280,000 is our goal to raise for the breakfast programs. Right now we're in about 10 schools, so there's still a gap, there's still a need. We're excited though that 5 of those schools are coming from direct partnerships. So Chick-fil-A, Tate & Lyle, the Schaumburg Park Foundation, the Rotary Club of Schaumburg Hoffman Estates, and the Woodfield Area Charities Organization have all stepped forward in a huge way and have undertaken a school each.
Oh, so they've adapted a school.
Yes.
Great. How many schools do you have?
So 28 schools. The need varies by school. Some schools, as you can imagine, and I'm sure you see it in the schools around here, is there's a much bigger need in some areas, and some, but it's a little bit less. But no child should be left behind. So no matter what ratio you fall in, we want to make sure that every kid has the same opportunity. Well,
the foundation has greatly improved its fundraising activities in the last several years, and I think that's a great tribute to you folks who are on the foundation board. Trustee Gaeta is never at a loss for words. You have a question you'd like to ask, Michael?
If people want to get involved with the organization, how do they go about doing that?
Yeah, there's several ways to get involved. The first way, I'd say that most people hear about us and want to get involved is through volunteering. They can volunteer in a variety of ways. One of those is to be on the board of trustees that we serve on, and we meet quarterly. Throughout those quarterly meetings, we're setting the year up for our events, and we're also putting together committees that take the money and actually award it to different groups. So we have a very active group. We take care of a lot of business over a year, and so just being a part of that is a great way to connect and be, actually just volunteer. The other way to volunteer is we have events throughout the year. Our signature event is a golf event that we run every June at the Schaumburg Golf Club, and that's a full, golf outing with all kinds of contests and all those things, but we need lots of people to help. And so a lot of teachers, but also just community folks that want to get involved help out with that. So they can volunteer at these events. We have another event that's a great fundraiser every year, and that's a week in conjunction with September Fest. We park cars at one of our schools, and through that we have folks that volunteer through that and want to spend their time over the weekend and learn about the foundation, also pass out flyers to let people know they're giving us the dollars to go ahead and park their car, but we're giving them a pamphlet to tell them what we're doing. And actually folks have said, wow, I didn't realize you guys are doing that kind of thing. So volunteering is a big way. Like Tom said, another way to get involved is to decide if your business or your family can support one of these programs. The business that have stepped up have said, you know what, we want to sponsor an entire school for a year, and that's a $10,000 donation that goes directly to that school. But even as small as $200 a year feeds one child. So if a family says, you know what, we want to be a part of this, but we can't do it at the huge scale. We've broken this down to say, would you like to be able to provide breakfast for a child for an entire year? That's $200. And then the final way that you can get involved with us is just supporting it through sharing it on Facebook, sharing it in the community, letting people know that we exist. Because a lot of times people think of this public school system, D54, is so great. It's the largest in the school in the state. 15,000 students are in our school district, and they think, well, it's a public school, it's got all the funding it's needed. But the truth of the matter is there's areas that we've identified through the breakfast program, through the STEM programs and these extracurriculars, that some of these things are not funded and kids are left behind. And so these programs are funding those areas and making sure that every kid that's in School District 54, all 15,000, are able to do everything that they'd like to do to move forward.
I did it as for our giving tree that we were helping support a school, and then I was promoting the food for thought. So that's how I sort of incorporated that. I said that that's a great gift to give somebody. So the person that has everything, if you want to give them a wonderful gift, sponsor a child. What nicer thing to give someone than to give them the gift of giving? So I think at Thanksgiving, the holidays, that's a nice thing to give your family or to give a friend when you can't pick out what would be the best perfume or this and that. Sponsor a child or sponsor a grant. Our grant for the kids to go to summer camps is about $120 on average. So, any contribution is much appreciated. And we also do memorial grants. So if you have a family member that went to the school district, or if you know a teacher or someone and you want to do a grant that's a memorial grant in their name, that's also another way that you can show your kindness to that person.
So how do they get in touch?
Yeah, that's a great, probably went over that question. So we have a website. It's a D54Foundation.org. We're real proud of that website, and this year it is completely redone, and it really lays out the entire year, as well as how to connect with us, which would be via a phone call to one of our trustees, or there's an email address that you can get right to somebody very, very quickly.
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Trustee Stanton.
I was just wondering, the families that qualify for the Food for Thought program, how did they find out about this in the first place?
So there's an application process that each family goes through for the federal free lunch program, and that's how the district initiates that contact with them. So unfortunately, we think the need is a lot bigger than that 22%, but it takes, there's a lot of pride in some of these families that they don't want to apply. But we know there's a greater need than that. So it starts with an application process. That's how we become acquainted with that family. And then that's, how we find out what the representation is at each school, where the breakfast really needs to go first. But it starts with an application process.
Okay. In addition, the school social workers are really involved in this process as well, identifying things that maybe don't come out in those applications.
Yeah. Sure, they help with the application process.
Okay,
yeah.
Is that where they're plugged in? Okay.
They actually reach out to families that because of the relationship they have with the families, they know who should qualify. So they'll reach out to families and help them with that application process to make sure we get as many people on board with that.
Yeah. Great.
In addition to the Food for Thought and you do your golf outing, you do other events throughout the years too. I believe you have relationships with restaurants where they'll help you do a fundraiser. People come in and buy on a certain day and you get a percentage of the
Well, we'll leave it to our restaurateur here.
Katie?
Well, Illuminati's has been a very big supporter for the foundation for many years, so they do a special night out with them, and a lot of the schools order, I believe they coordinate that with dates where there's conferences, so it's a half day of school, so the school staff can also take part in supporting California Pizza Kitchen, and amongst many other restaurants, Cullivers, have helped the foundation. So it's not just to them. We've had photography studios and several other businesses that open it up to say they're going to donate a percentage of their sales of their business back to support the foundation. So if any of you out there have a small business and would like that opportunity to come and help us, we'd love to have you come on board, and we'll help spread the news, and hopefully our community will be out there to support your business to help support us.
Can you tell us about the grants you do to schools and individuals you do throughout the year? People can apply for specific programs.
She runs that program, so yeah.
Well, the grant committee.
Need to invite you to
The grant committee actually works really closely with the social workers, so the social workers help identify and help with the forms, because a lot of parents are sort of intimidated or concerned about filling out these forms, so they work with the kids to make sure we're getting the right kids that are applying and that all the forms and proper paperwork's being submitted. So they have an opportunity to choose a multitude of summer programs and activities, enrichment activities. And like I said, it's not just about winning this activity for the summer. I feel like in a child's life, being able to win something in itself, especially for someone who doesn't have much available to them, that is a really important moment. And then again, having the leadership and mentorship of whatever program they're involved in, that we're making sure that these are all qualified programs that they're participating in, a lot being like Park District, Schaumburg, Hoffman Park District programs. And it's really one of my favorite things to do is to award the grants, and to the kids fill out their own application along with the parents authorizing it, and that they need to explain sort of the process, and that's where we've brought in the social workers. So I think they also are learning in this process how to ask for things and to understand what they're receiving by receiving this grant. So the social workers do a follow-up afterwards to sort of find out how the kids did, how was the program, and through that process hopefully they're learning that this is a positive way to live their life, and that instead of having negative role models in their situation, they're actually learning some positive ways, and hopefully in the future they'll continue on that path of being involved in sports and other extracurricular activities.
If a teacher wanted to come up with a specific program, so could they apply to the foundation for funding?
In past, we had done separate programs that way, with our focus being more geared towards food for thought at this point, that's been really our focus. But yes, in past we did teacher memorial grants, and I was on that committee, and yes, very nice how many teachers would take the time to write these applications, and we'd fund different programs for them that they would provide enrichment for the children at this school.
Right. Yes.
One other comment on the grants. This year was really exciting because we were able to award 330 grants, and that was $34,000. So when you spread that $34,000 out over 330 kids, that was, I know you guys were excited when you came back, to award that. It was fun to do, but we touched so many families through that over that summer period. Usually when they're doing a lot of those extracurriculars, so that dollars that we raised at the golf outing, these things, went directly back to those, it's a lot of fun to give out that kind of money.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the challenge for us as trustees is we want to do the food for thought, right? We want to get breakfast programs in all the schools. We don't want to turn any child away for the grant program. So those are the challenge for us, is raising those dollars. The third program that you mentioned before, which is the STEM, and I want to give a big thank you to Motorola. So they've been a great partner since 2006. They've donated over $260,000 back through the foundation for these the STEM programs, and the GEM programs. So that's a huge partnership for us that goes right back into the schools. 100% of the money, being an all-volunteer organization, 100% of that money goes back into these programs. So not many organizations can tell you 100% goes to the kids of what comes through our doors.
That's great. Trustee Gate, I think you had something.
That way you just answered one of the questions that I was going to ask. But the other question is, with the food for thought, how do you identify the children that get the free meals? as compared to the ones that pay for them or however?
So it's the children that apply for federal aid, that they have to have certain income levels, and that they know that they're already providing lunch through them through the federal program, and now we're stepping in to help provide breakfast. Because anyone that their studies, if a child goes to school and they don't have breakfast beforehand, they're going to have a hard time focusing, they're going to have a hard time learning. So this is something that is, just great for them to be able to take advantage of the school district that we have, all the learning we have to offer. If they're hungry, they're not going to be able to focus in school.
So when they come up to the line, let's just say that I'm the one that's on the program, but you aren't and you aren't, right?
Yeah.
So how does that individual know
So
that
there's
they're
no-
serving?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no,
so there's no identification of me getting a free meal.
no, these children are being told that they're able to take advantage of this program. They're given a certain area that they're able to go to, and they would go off when they get off their bus into a separate area and retrieve their lunch. And it's optional for them. They don't have to go, but they're advised that, we're providing this lunch or breakfast that once they get off the bus, or if they walk to school, they would usually head to a gymnasium, and that the school administration would be distributing the breakfast to them. But no other children are involved in that process.
I think you see kids at that age who are a lot less judgmental and less, they're not identifying those kids. They're not looking for it. They're there to have fun and learn, and, so yeah.
Trustee Stanton.
Do you have any questions for us at all? Other than we asking you questions?
Turn the tables. Time's your opportunity.
Well, did you bring your checkbook?
It's in the car.
I've actually got a question.
Okay.
So through this development of the food for thought, we were looking for that one thing that really the community could get around, and we found that this was a big area. Because so many people are surprised that 22% of Schaumburg, or the District 54, so Schaumburg, Hoffman, and the surrounding, are on that free reduced lunch. In Hoffman, do you guys feel that 22% of your, I don't know where the percentage falls in Hoffman, how do you feel that your community is in need, and how are we, as maybe this breakfast, feeling that need? I'm just curious if there's a connection.
Indeed, we have schools that have way more than 22%.
Yeah.
And this has been a very good program. I think what was mentioned, that it is shocking to people, particularly if you lived here, grew up here in the 70s and 80s and 90s, that the need is that great. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that the need wasn't always there. I think there was a lot of obliviousness to it. I think people are a lot more sensitive and aware of what's happening in the communities than they used to be. Mm-hmm. We all tend to live in our own little bubbles. Yep. Right. And everybody's fine, and I'm fine, and the world is great. But I applaud you folks for really stepping up on this. You guys, and Katie, you've really cranked up the fundraising for this. And this is a tremendous program, the Food for Thought.
Well, the 28 schools that we talk about, we don't have the $280,000 this year to do it all. Like Tom said, we drew in about 10. So the question is, how do we choose those 10? And the way we looked at it was a pragmatic way of saying, which schools are the highest percentage that need this breakfast program? Let's attack those first. And that's what we've been doing. Our goal, our BHAG, our big, hairy, audacious goal, is to go be able to do all 28 in a year. But we've got to go systematically. And I think we're doing that. And a year ago, we didn't have 5 of these corporations stepping up and writing a check for $10,000. So we get pretty excited at these quarterly meetings. But we'd love to see 28, and I think we can get there. But it's, we all believe we can. It's going to take time.
I think that would be my open-ended ask or question would be is, having been on the foundation for 20 years, it still blows my mind that people haven't heard of us, because we try so hard to get our name out there and what our mission is and what we're trying to do and why we're raising funds. And we still come across, well, you get a lot of my tax money, but they still don't understand, right? We're trying to fill that gap. We do a lot of presentations. We did one at the SBA, and a lot of businesses come up and they're shocked to find out the need. So I guess my question of you is, or ask of you is, what organizations do you know that you think have a mission themselves to reach back into the community and want to give back, and we could, marry that relationship up or partner those two up?
Have you done much with the Hoffman Chamber? Tricia O'Brien and them?
I don't think so, yeah. No. I mean, not directly. I think that SBA being one of the largest chambers in the area sort of sucks in a lot, but I think that's a great idea to start looking at all those communities within the D54, Hoffman being a major one.
Yeah, to handle
That's a big way. And to that point, we had a company that we were looking at to see if they wanted to partner, and I was able to reach out to Mayor McLeod and say, hey, what do you know about these folks? How could we partner? And he said, your answer to me was they have been very active on the local Hoffman chamber, and you said, Andy, they're probably going to be very open to this. And I reached out to them, and they said, yeah, we'd like to partner for $10,000 a year. So that being able to reach out to you and having you on our board as a mayor was a real big help, and we'd love to do more of that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
And thank you again for your role and your efforts and being a part of the foundation.
Well, I
for so many years.
appreciate what you do. It's not easy, particularly you're related to a school district, so people, as you say, think, well, you get all this tax money, and schools get everything they need anyway, and that's really not true. It's really not true at all.
And there's guidelines and budgets they have to stay within, and they can't just cover all the needs. So that's where we come in.
No, this is a great program, and you're going to help a lot of people. You're helping a lot of people, and you'll probably end up with some of those people on your foundation board at some point in time.
Absolutely.
Welcome it.
Yeah.
And my question I would have is if you have ways to get just the community of Hoffman, the average person to help. I've had a lot of people that have helped with $100, $200 donation towards Food for Thought. So it's not all just big corporations that I believe in. It takes a village, and we have a great village here. But to know every day that when you wake up, when you have breakfast, that you're also feeding a needy child is such a good feeling. So for Christmas, for different family gifts, for, to instill gratitude in your children, to teach them that, we're going to help this family, that's a nice way. So if you guys have any ways that you can communicate to just the average person to help us do that, because it's, as much as it's the big companies that are great supporters, just having that awareness within the community for ongoing support and just individual support means a lot to us too.
Those little donations go a long way.
They do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Perhaps we can put it in our newsletter.
Yeah, we can do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And this will be on our cable channel, so hopefully it'll help.
Yeah.
On our website, there is a place where someone can actually go and just make a donation for $20, for $40, for $100. So with that new website and that portal, which we can include maybe in your newsletter, someone can go right there, and it's a 100% tax deduction, because we're that 501(c), I believe. So
Yeah. You can easily Google D54 Foundation, and we pull right up on the search. So.
Yep.
In addition to the website, there's also, if you're on social media, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn, we are active on those areas, and folks can connect with us, like us. That's a great way to even just stay in tune with the events that are coming up. I think that's something that the average American has got on their phone and on some way, and hitting them to kind of let them know what's going on. So that's a great way to stay in touch.
Anything you'd like to add in closing, Katie?
Just that it's a great organization. If any of you'd like to be involved, that we're always looking for trustees, for someone who's willing to donate your time. If you live in the community, the odds are that you either went to the schools or have a child that went to the school, or you have a business in the community. So we'd love to have you out there supporting us so that we can get to our goal to raise $280,000. And this isn't just this year, this is ongoing every year. So as trustees, they're volunteering. At a certain point, their terms are up. So we're always soliciting for new people to be involved. So if any of you out there would like to contact the foundation and show your interest to volunteer in any way, we'd love to have you step on board.
Anything to add, Andy?
Yeah, for me, it just goes back to the reason I serve, and the reason that the others on the board serve, just like you as public officials and you're serving. It's because of the work that the school district's doing. That's what gets me excited about this. What the school district 54 and how they are educating my children and guiding them and growing, helping our family grow. Because of the great work they're doing, I'm saying anything I can do for the foundation, whether it's raise money, whether it's run the golf outing, whether it's go take money at the September Fest and talk to people, I'll do it. And it's because the School District 54 is absolutely one of the best schools in the country, and for our family, it's the absolute best. So,
Tom, anything to-
Just my last thought or comment was just, we have a great, to your point, great relationship with the school district. They bring a lot of the needs and the information about, where we can fill those gaps. But they're also a huge support to us in terms of support. It's I mentioned before that this is an organization where, I said 100%, but maybe it's 99.9% of what we raise goes back to the kids. We have no salaried positions. I think we have a small marketing budget. But really, it's all about the kids. And anything we can do to bring dollars in, whether it be the food for thought, our challenge there is we want to not only put breakfast programs in all the schools, but keep doing it. The last thing we want to do is offer a kid breakfast one year, and then they come back next year and sorry, we couldn't get funding for that. So you don't want to dangle the carrot and then take it away. So no donation is too small, no donation is too big, but we survive on, if you look at who the organizations are that we partner with and what we do give out money to, a lot of that comes from the small donations. So we cherish those little donations and appreciate them completely. We appreciate the opportunity to be here this morning with you to share our story and share our mission. And again, we thank you for your contributions as a trustee. So we appreciate all your efforts.
Trustees Stanton, Gay, do you have anything you want to add?
No, except that they do an excellent job. I've heard of this before, but I didn't know the in-depth that you people went into this for. And I'm very impressed with what I heard this morning.
Thank you. Thanks. Good work.
Yeah, keep up the good work. People move into our area because the schools are so good.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's why they're here.
Yeah.
And we have an obligation. I had 8 kids go through the school system. I have an obligation to make sure that the kids coming up afterwards receive just as good education as they did. And that really defines our area. Exactly.
They're our future. So.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Andy?
Thanks a lot.
No, thank you for the opportunity. Pleasure meeting you. Thanks. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Listen, it was a learning experience.